Hello. Welcome to the 21st Annual Power of Pink Luncheon. We are excited that you have joined us here in the beautifully newly renovated Pitzer Garrison Convention Center as we bring awareness to one of the most common forms of cancer, breast cancer. I'm Yana Ogletree, System Director of Marketing Communications for Memorial Health System of East Texas. Today's luncheon has been made possible by our presenting sponsors, the main event, Brookshire Brothers, Swain and Baldwin Insurance, First Bank and Trust of East Texas, Alexander Langford and Hires, East Texas Urology Specialists, Beard Fine Jewelers, Lufkin Jewelry on the Square, Aileen's Florist, Yates Media Y100, Studio 319, Quick Copy, and the Moore family. Please join me in thanking our presenting sponsors. Now, without the support of our sponsors and each of you, we would not be able to provide everyday necessities for our cancer patients, whether it's purchasing medication or providing gas vouchers for patients who have no means of getting to the center for treatment. You are helping to make life just a little bit easier for our patients. Well, we have a great program for you today. Expect to be inspired and motivated as we present Power Pink 2013. As we get started with our exciting program, I would like to welcome to the stage Marguerite Garrett, one of the creators of Power of Pink and a close friend to Jan Moore.
I want to say a prayer for this wonderful gathering here today. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we praise you for all of the things that you do. And we pray that you are going to be with us as we try to think about eliminating cancer. You're the one that helps us all. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Well, it is now my pleasure to introduce you to this year's Power of Pink MC. As we celebrate 21 years, successful years, it's only fitting that we recognize one of the most influential people behind the Power of Pink. Please join me in welcoming to the stage your MC, Dr. Sid Roberts.
Thank you, Yana, and thank you for all that you do to pull off an incredible event each year. About 1 in 8 U.S. women, just under 12%, will develop invasive breast cancer over the course of her lifetime. Besides skin cancer, breast cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among American women. Just under 30% of cancers in women are breast cancers. For women in the U.S., breast cancer death rates are higher than those for any other cancer besides lung cancer. About 85% of breast cancers occur in women who have no family history of breast cancer. These occur due to genetic mutations that happen as a result of the aging process and life in general, rather than inherited mutations. In 2013, an estimated 232,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in women in the U.S., along with 64,000 new cases of non-invasive or in situ breast cancer. So we've been doing this now. This is our 21st annual event, so 20 years now. Last Saturday night, the American Cancer Society held another incredibly successful Cattle Barons Gala, raising money for research and services. We've been preaching mammograms for 2 decades now, and yet we continue to lose friends to breast cancer. Sometimes we just have to ask, are we making any progress? After all, almost 40,000 women in the United States will die this year from breast cancer. The unfortunate fact is that breast cancer death rates changed very little from 1930 to 1990, a period of 60 years. But what I want you to hear today, listen to this, from 1990 to 2005, breast cancer death rates have decreased by 27%. That's remarkable, and that's worthy of applause. The message that we drive home today is getting out. It is making a difference, and we are definitely saving lives, so don't give up the fight. If you're going to be a statistic, we want you to be one of 2.8 million breast cancer survivors in the United States today. But you have to get your mammogram. Take control of your health, practice early detection. Later on, I'm going to tell you about a very important study taking place just outside these doors that I want you to participate in called CPS-3, and we'll go over that a little bit later. Earlier this week, Memorial hosted the second annual Power of Pink Luncheon in Livingston, and they doubled their inaugural attendance with 400 people in attendance this year. As many of you know, as we just said, Power of Pink is celebrating 21 years in Lufkin. The event began in 1993 when a handful of women who lost their close friend, Jan Moore, to breast cancer gathered in the halls of Memorial Hospital with a brown bag lunch on their lap to discuss breast cancer prevention and treatment. Despite her death in 1993, Jan Moore continues to teach us the importance of preventive tools and knowing the signs and symptoms of breast cancer. Today, Power of Pink is one of the largest breast cancer awareness events in Texas, and this event alone is directly reaching at least 1,200 women with information on prevention, early detection, and treatment. We are honored today to have members of the Moore family join us for this special event, and I especially want to thank David, Alan, and Brian Moore for continuing the legacy of their mother and father in supporting this event. In 1993, when we started the Jan Moore Memorial Lecture Series, it was an educational event, and we talked about all sorts of different things related to breast cancer. But today, the focus and fight remain the same. And so join me, please, in thanking the Moore family for their continued support. And I just want to also thank that wonderful group of women who've been with us from the beginning, who continue to honor Jan's memory. If you'll notice the flowers back in the lobby area. Barbara Polk, Tony Brown, Nancy Moore, Mary Martha Henderson. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate you very much. So with that in mind, today has also been proclaimed Power of Pink Day in Lufkin, and joining me now to present this year's proclamation is our Lufkin Mayor, also known as Tony Brown's husband, Mayor Bob Brown. Bob.
If you were listening to Dr. Roberts, everything in this proclamation has just been read, so I'm not going to do that. Yana said you don't have to say much. But this is Power of Pink Day in the city of Lufkin, and congratulations to all. I want to say one thing. Last year my heart was heavy having just said goodbye to Raymond Moore. And for Alan and Kathy and David and Kelly and Brian and Amanda, thank you for helping us out. Bye.
Thank you, Mayor. One reminder for the service staff. If you have not yet been served, would you raise your hand so that the servers around can pinpoint you? So, most women don't ever think breast cancer is going to happen to them. And unless you have been diagnosed with breast cancer, you probably think this will happen to someone else and not you too. I want to introduce you to 5 women just like you. Women who are going about their busy lives, taking care of their families, working, never realizing that they could be the one facing breast cancer. In this special video presentation, these women share their personal and emotional stories of survival and struggle to help educate all of us on the importance of early detection and prompt treatment.
My life was perfect. I mean, everything that I've hoped and dreamed for is, my life's just going great.
I never dreamed that I'd be going for a mammogram. It wasn't time.
I'm aware of my body, but had never felt anything. There wasn't a lump. I didn't feel bad.
You know, usually it's a older age, or you hear about your grandmother or your aunt, you know, that had cancer. So I never even really thought about it.
I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma on November the 14th, 2012.
I was diagnosed in 2009.
I first learned I had cancer December the 8th, 2012.
I was diagnosed in February of 2000.
It's Monday, it's noontime, and I'm running errands around town, you know, like I usually do at lunchtime, and my phone rings. And he's talking, but it's almost like the Peanuts cartoon, you know, what. I'm hearing it, but I'm not hearing it.
But then they called my doctor and said it was positive for breast cancer, and that was quite a shock.
Going into the doctor's office in October of 2012, I never thought I'd walk out a few days later with a diagnosis of breast cancer.
First thing Monday morning when I got to work, the doctor was calling me, asking me to come back in, that he needed to discuss my memo with me.
This huge rug is pulled out from under you because, again, I'm thinking, my life is great. My life is at such a wonderful point. How could this happen? Because all I can think of is, I'm positive. This result was positive. I have cancer.
And that afternoon, I faced the reality that I had stage 3 breast cancer. I thought, I'm too young to be doing this.
Actually, I wouldn't have found it out if I wouldn't have been pregnant. So I was pregnant with cancer.
I work at Centralized Scheduling Memorial Hospital. I schedule patients for mammograms and complete workup if necessary. And sometimes when you're talking to the patients on the phone, I try to give them encouraging words, you know, to follow up with their mammograms. At the same time, I didn't think it would happen to me, or I could be talking to myself.
I told my husband the other day, I said, you know, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go and have surgery. He said, I know you don't want to. He said, but you got to. And he said, just think about it, you're here. I said, I don't want to lose my breast. He said, but we're not going to lose you.
It went fast. I could feel the lump, and it was in my lymph nodes under my arm. It was fast.
I did not have to go through treatment. I chose to have a breast reduction where they went in and removed the tissues. And after they got the report back from the lab, it was confirmed that all of the malignancy was removed.
My very first treatment was very difficult. My thought was, here we go, it's starting. And I didn't know what to expect. I had myself worked up about the side effects and what was about to start happening, and that, you know, there's no stopping this. We've got to do this. In the beginning, all I wanted was it out, get it out.
All of us have been so touched by cancer, but all of a sudden, it's me.
It was delivered to me through my faith. God had told me before that. I always trusted in him, so I knew that this is going to be okay. At that time, they only had like 1 or 2 chemotherapy treatments you could take with being pregnant. I was told that if I didn't abort the baby, that I'd probably only live to see him turn 2 months old because of how fast being pregnant accelerates cancer.
It was a tough go at the beginning, but after I got over the first 6 weeks, things started beginning to get easier.
They couldn't tell me why I got cancer, and so I wanted to take away anything that could possibly get cancer again. And it's a personal choice. I looked forward to my treatments because that meant I was one closer to being done. When I first was diagnosed, everybody who I would talk to, they're, Jessica, you're going to be okay. Yes, I am going to be okay. I have no choice but to be okay.
There can be miracles when you believe.
We went on a long journey. We survived it. My son is 13 years old now.
Don't ever take it for granted that it's not going to happen to you.
You have to pay attention to your body. Your body's trying to tell you something. And luckily, I paid attention.
That's one reason why I try to encourage all my sisters in Christ, anyone that I talk to, that it's important that they follow up with their mammograms.
It was just really a miraculous journey for me, and it was more of a blessing for me.
What's kind of neat about going through a process like this is that you do become so much closer with your family, with your friends. It gives you that opportunity to tell somebody you love them when with friends especially. We don't every day go, oh, I love you so much. But it is such an opportunity just to be able to tell somebody how much you care about them.
1 foot in front of the other. And some days, literally, it was 1 foot, then the next one. But I made it. And you'll make it too.
Somehow you win. You will when you believe.
Yeah. The women in this video, Jessica Knight, Patricia Bryant, Jacqueline Hale, Belinda Tier, and Emily Watts, are all heroes. 4 out of 5 is not good enough. We've got to keep fighting until everyone is cured. This is the moment in our program when we pause also and recognize those among us who have been diagnosed and treated with breast cancer, no matter how far out in your journey you are at this point. If you've been diagnosed with breast cancer, would you please stand and let us recognize you? I know some of the people in the video are here today as well. Let's give them our encouragement. And it's not just about breast cancer. We focus on breast cancer, and rightly so. But cancer is not just breast cancer. There are many different types of cancer, men and women. Anybody here who has battled cancer of any type, would you please stand and let us recognize you? As I mentioned earlier, there is something else that you can do. If you were touched by this video and you're thinking, I don't know what I can do other than get my mammograms, well, you're about to find out, because outside in the hallway is a study going on this afternoon called CPS 3, Cancer Prevention Study 3. This is a massive study undertaken by the American Cancer Society, enrolling 300,000 women nationwide to follow people over 20 years and learn about things like diet and activity and medications, and to help determine risk factors and help find out what causes cancer. If you're between the ages of 30 and 65 and have not been diagnosed with cancer other than a minor skin cancer, you can enroll in this study, and it's very simple. You fill out a questionnaire, you give a blood sample, and then about every other year you'll get a questionnaire in the mail to fill out. What else is easier than that? We need 500 people here locally to enroll in this study. We have 200 so far this week, and we have 3 more enrollment sites this week. This afternoon out here after Power of Pink, Saturday morning at Lufkin Industries on Reggae, and Sunday morning at First Assembly on the Loop. That's it. Those are the only times left, and we need everyone who is eligible to sign up. Walk-ins are welcome. Start this afternoon after Power of Pink. So, fighting cancer is tough, and while many people go through a myriad of emotions during this journey, many find that laughter is the best medicine of all, which brings us to my favorite part, the art bra competition. So many of you are laughing. You remember this from last year. It's always unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. For the last 4 years, Memorial and Abel's Pharmacy have sponsored an art bra contest. This tradition began when a woman who lost her mother to breast cancer came across buttons that her mother had collected. Instead of giving them away, she decided to decorate a bra with these personal mementos. And today, the bras are adorned with more than buttons, from rhinestone and fringe to feather and lights. We had some very creative entries this year. In fact, the bras were so spectacular that Victoria's Secret once again agreed to bring a few of their shapely models to Lufkin to showcase this year's entries. So join me as I introduce each of these well-known curvaceous models when they come on stage. And models, when you get up here, do a little turn in front and then pose for your still shot and close-up if you do, please. So we begin the fashion show with our winning bra from Livingston, strength and courage. 2 words that are used as mantras for many breast cancer victims. This is Chad Roberts, owner of Citywide Directories, showing his strength and courage by modeling this ornate bra. The black feather boas accent the bright pink beadwork that hangs from this pink and black polka dot bra. There's a little shake. Yeah. This bra was designed by Rhonda Walsh. Good job, Chad. Thank you. The bra winning overall 3rd place honors is Race On Down and Get Your Mammogram. Bobby Nichols, owner of Lufkin Jewelry on the Square, gets the privilege of modeling this racy bra that is adorned with wheels and checkered flags. Now, let's not turn the wheels, okay? The bra also features a hot pink race car in the middle. The bra was created by Heart to Heart Hospice in honor of all cancer patients. No handling the wheels, okay? Unlock the Cure is our 2nd place winner. Van Watson, marketing president of First Bank and Trust of East Texas, is modeling the key to preventive health. This bra, oh, thank you so much. This bra, designed by Memorial Medical Center St. Augustine Imaging Department, features an assortment of keys, pastel-colored rose petals and pearls. Rhinestone straps complement the jeweled pendants, and a large lock is positioned in the center of the bra. This bra was created in memory of Barbara Sue Davis. Thank you, Van. Don't be scared to squeeze. Mark Hicks of Hicks Operating Company is modeling our 1st place winner. This creepy design was created by who else? Karen Pope and the Memorial Lufkin X-Ray Department in honor of all Memorial Mammogram patients. This bra is really grabbing a hold of Mark as he models this one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Skeleton hands grip the cup while pink rhinestones outline the entire bra. Notice the hot pink fingernails on the skeleton hands. Thank you, Mark. And finally, our People's Choice Award, and my personal favorite, goes to Pair of Queens Breast Cancer. This bra was the hands-down winner by the online vote. Jerry Johnson, president of Brookshire Brothers, is taking a gamble on his manhood as he models this bra adorned with poker chips and playing cards. Got it. Delfina Gonzalez of Hospice in the Pines created this favorite entry in honor of the loved ones cared for by Hospice in the Pines. We got the close-up good? Thank you, Jerry. Love it. So let's bring all our models back for one final runway walk. Come on, models. Everybody up. One final strut, I should say. All right, guys. I think it's going to get out of hand if we take it any further. So thank you, guys. Appreciate it. You know, we make fun of mammograms and breast cancer, but that's important. We got to get that message out that it's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about. Go out and get your mammograms. You can see all the entries displayed in the lobby, or go online to memorialhealth.org. The bras will also be on display at Memorial for the remainder of the month. And while you're there, check out the Lilly Oncology Cancer on Canvas art exhibit. This is a traveling national exhibit, and it's a collection of canvas art created by cancer patients or their caregivers. And these artists express through art and narrative the life-affirming changes that give cancer journey meaning. The exhibit is open to the public free of charge until Friday, October 25th. Okay, we are pleased to welcome back to Lufkin Mrs. Sally Baskey. Sally comes to us from Arlington, Texas. She has a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree and began her career teaching at the Actors Workshop in Dallas. She later pursued a 25-year career with a major oil company where she made an impact on marketing, customer service, human resources, telecommunications, public relations, and employee communications. When you are riding on the back of a motorcycle, your view is the back of the helmet in front of you. You can see your reflection and where you've been. You can see where you are at the moment, but you have no idea what is ahead. Isn't that the way life is? We are pleased to welcome back to Lufkin nationally acclaimed humorist and motivational speaker Sally Baskey, who's going to talk all about life on the back of a Harley. Sally.
Woohoo! All right, thank you. Thank you, Sid. All right. You know what? I thought we should just start with the audience participation part because that's the part that gets everybody so nervous. So let's just get that out of the way, shall we? All right, if I could have everyone just sit up really straight in your chair. If you can't do this, then watch someone else. Just sit up very straight in your chair. If you will just take your left hand and put it up in the air and draw the number 6. Just take your left hand and draw it. Keep doing that. This is good. This is good. Now, while you're doing that, take your right foot, lift it up, and move it in a clockwise direction while keeping your left hand. No. Keep your left. This is so sad. It's extremely sad because I'm sitting at a table with a lot of Lufkin leadership, and they are bad. You know, actually, you can stop now. You know, actually, this has nothing to do with anything that we're going to talk about.
But I love to do this because when I show up to speak places, I sometimes have a little control over maybe how the room is set, what kind of microphone I get to use, but I have no control over the mindset of my audience. So I love to do this exercise because it tells me you're such an agreeable group. It tells me that you'll do what I ask you to do, that you're happy people, and it tells me you don't get out much here in Lufkin, really. It was 5 years ago that I was here on this stage, and we talked about how we have to use this God-given gift called a sense of humor, and how life has gotten so serious that we sometimes forget to use it, and how important it is. We have found out, and we definitely learn as we grow older, that life's about 10% what happens to you and 90% the way you choose to react to it. So why do you think we're drawn to people with a sense of humor? We like to be with people with a sense of humor because they have a way of rocking and rolling through life. Even when things knock them down, they always bounce back. I always equate people with a sense of humor like a cork in the water. So things happen, it might go under, but they bounce back up. Someone with no sense of humor is like a sponge. Things happen to them and they sink. If you close your eyes right now and you think of someone in your life who has no sense of humor, and hope it is not someone sitting beside you right now. I hope it's not your boss. It's just awful when you work for a boss with no sense of humor. You know who you are. Work on it. Work on it. Or even worse, your spouse. That can be so grueling. We've got to lighten up. You have to take your job seriously, but you don't have to act so serious about work. Today is all about hope and experience and getting back out there. And when I was here 5 years ago, I talked about a year that I had had. Now, this is not a unique year. Every time I speak to women's groups especially, I have someone come up and say, that same thing happened to me. Or that happened to me, but it was even worse. All right, I had one of those years where, I know this is hard for you to understand, but especially Gary, I'm sitting with Gary, that I was married 20 years, and it seems my husband was not as happy with me as I was with him. And he chose to leave and find Miss November. And so the man moved out in December, gone. Now, he did put the Christmas lights up, which is so huge. If you are contemplating leaving, decorate first. It is so big. But the man left in December. In January, he brought me the papers. In February, on Valentine's Day, he filed for divorce, brought me the papers, filed for divorce in January, brought me the papers in February. In March, with the urging of my daughter, I decided to get an attorney. In April, my company announced a merger. They were closing our offices. Jobs were gone. In May, I had to list our house because I could no longer afford it. In June, it sold. In July, we moved. In August, the divorce was final. Now, divorce is a terrible thing. Divorce is very much like death, except nobody brings food, and that is just wrong. If you are taking notes, write that down. If you know someone, if you know anybody going through a divorce, bake something. Seriously. So that was August. In September, my dad was diagnosed with 4th-stage lung cancer that had already moved into his bones. And although my parents were married for 30 years, they were divorced almost equally as long. So it was not going to work out for my dad to live with my mom. So he moved in with my daughter and I, and he lived with us the next 5 months. Died in our home the following February with the help of hospice, a wonderful, wonderful organization. But then in March, the merger of my company took place. My job was gone. And then in April, I ran a red light and totaled my Lexus. So, in this short period of time, I closed on a house, I closed on another house, I closed on a marriage, I closed on a parent, I closed on a career, and I closed on a car. And you have all read the Hallmark card. When one door closes, a window opens. Now, I will tell you that is really very true. But can I tell you from personal experience, when you have that much cross-ventilation in a short period of time, it can blow you away. Unless you find the humor. Unless you find the humor. We talked about that it's not a matter of What if? What if? What if this happens? What if that? It's when? When? Good and bad, this too will pass, right? And we have to be ready. Well, now I want to fast forward and tell you all the good news. First of all, you can find love as an old person. I want to tell you that because here I now, 2013, I stand here. I have been married 4.5 years, and I married a cowboy. Now, see, I did not see this coming. No. Did not see it coming, people. We now live out in the country on 12 acres. His garage is bigger than our home. And other people think that's okay. You know, I had never been in a pickup truck until I married Gary. I had never ridden on the back of a Harley. I got to tell you, I had never, ever been drinking out of Dixie cups until I met Gary. And I got to admit, I now eat Cheese Whiz on a pork rind. It's just awesome. My life is full. Now, if you had told me about 6 years ago that this is what I'd be doing in 2013, I would have said, and when did I have the stroke? Really? Because I was not expecting this. The difference is I was open to it. I was open to get back out there. And so Gary and I, we ride all the time. We now live right off 67 in Glen Rose, Texas, so we can hop on the Harley. Now, I do not have my own. No. I sit on the back in my little princess seat. We have the headphones, and so we can talk, or as Gary says, I can talk to him. And, you know, it's awesome. And he is my airbag. He is my airbag, and we float along, and it's wonderful. But Gary's a big guy. He's about 6'3", 260 pounds. And so really, you know, when you ride 3,500 miles to Montana, you don't see much. I can see where we are at that very moment. I can kind of see through the side mirrors where we've been, but I have no idea where we're going. And you know, you have a lot of time to think when you're on the back of a Harley. And one time the rain made our sound system go out, so there was no more music. We couldn't talk, which I know Gary was such a happy person on that trip. But I made up for it. Every time we stopped, I had to make up for everything I didn't get to say. And you know, but it made me think, this is so much like life, because you are. We know exactly where we are at the moment. Do you know there will never be another moment like there is right this very minute with all these same people in the same room at the same time? But sometimes we're never in the moment. Sometimes we spend way too much time trying to see where we've been. And we can't seem to leave that behind. But we really don't know where we're going, but isn't that the excitement of life? So, you know, I want you to come along with me on this journey. You don't have to necessarily be on a Harley, but you got to get back into the game of life. So the very first thing we're going to have to do is decide that we're going to play. Because I know all of you have been through things. All of us have stuff. And sometimes it's hard. It's tough. And you don't want to get back out there. I don't want to do it. It's too hard. I don't have the courage. Well, I want to tell you, I'm not asking you to have courage like go to war. I'm telling you, before your feet hit the ground in the morning, if you will lay in bed and say, just give me courage today to do anything, to maybe not laugh at an inappropriate joke when I hear it at work. Now, what's that going to happen? Then when I do that, then it's going to be uncomfortable, because usually courage and being uncomfortable come together. And when you're uncomfortable, you're vulnerable. But do you know we really grow the most when we're vulnerable? So have courage. Have courage. You know, a lot of people won't do things because they say, oh, what if I fail? What if I fail? You know, I wish you would just take the word failure out of your vocabulary. We would have no idea what success was if we didn't fail, would we? I have a friend whose son just has a really, really hard time in life. Can't seem to keep a job. Can't seem to stay stable for long. But I love what she says. Whenever I ask how her son is doing, she never says he's a loser, he's between jobs, he's lost his job again, he got fired. She always says he's between successes. And don't you love that? He's between successes. Just take the word failure out of your vocabulary. And then you've got to take a risk and you've got to trust. You know, before I met Gary, I had been divorced 10 years. Gary lost his wife in 2004 to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Jeannie had been sick for a long time, and Gary had been with her through 10 years of illness. He is an auto mechanic, had his own shop. He's now retired. And I am a speaker. And I went to church with a girl that happened to be a customer of his, and she kept trying to get us to meet. And I kept saying, because you know how we know what's best for us, right? I kept saying, oh, you see, I'm supposed to meet another three-piece suit, a very sophisticated man who will travel with me. And here's Gary. Gary's like, I don't want to meet her. She's gone all the time. I'm looking for another woman who would stay at home and be with me, and domesticated and long blonde hair and big smile, big smile. And it took us a year before we would ever even meet. But finally, I said, okay, this lady was not going to let up. I took my car into Gary's shop. He checked under my hood, and it was love. It was love. And you know, we had a wonderful wedding. We got married at church, and then had a great reception on top of the Omni Hotel in downtown Fort Worth, and had 100 of our best friends there. And then we went up to our wedding night suite, and they gave us the handicap suite. We didn't ask for the handicap suite. Gary spent most of the night going, what does this do? What does this do? And the next day I hopped on the back of his Harley, and we did a 2,100-mile Harley honeymoon. And it was awesome. But you know what? Someone once told me, when you are willing to change the perception of what you think you need, God will give you exactly what you need. And that's so true, because, you know, we think we know what's best for us. So I'm just asking you to be open, and quit worrying. You know, we have worriers. Do you all have a worrier in your life? Are you that person that worries about everything? What if? It's not a matter of what if, it's when. You got to be prepared. You know, I love what Corrie ten Boom says. She says, worry does not remove sadness from tomorrow, but it does remove the strength from today. So hear that again. Worry will not remove sadness from tomorrow, but it will remove the strength from today. All right, so we all decided we're going to play, right? We're going to get back out there, get in this game of life. Now, you have to have a little preparation, right? And Gary and I always have our equipment with us. We have our helmets and our sound system and our jackets and our rain gear. And then I want to give you some things you should always have with you when you travel. First and most important is your integrity. Integrity and your values. If you take off on a journey and someone asks you, or a situation arises that you're going to have to put aside your integrity or your value system, then don't go. Just go back home. Then you've got to take that sense of humor. You've got to remember that sense of humor, not only for the good times, but for the tough times, because it's so healing. And then you've got to always take gratitude and joy. I am convinced that you cannot have joy without gratitude. If you think of somebody in your life that maybe struggles with joy, they never seem to be happy, and then think about it. Is this person someone who is not very grateful? Because I believe you truly have to have gratitude to have joy. All right, then of course you have to pack. Now when you're on a Harley, you can't take a lot. I mean, I am a good packer though. I can throw in that little black dress and those high heels. I can make it fit. But you know, you have to pack, you have to leave some stuff behind. And one thing I always take on our trips is a bottle of Febreze. Now stay with me on this. We love at night when we get to our hotel room, I like to spray down our helmets with Febreze. I couldn't find the travel size Febreze, so basically we were all packed except I couldn't get the pump spray of Febreze in any suitcase or any saddlebag. So I basically rode 3,500 miles with a bottle of Febreze between my legs. Now, we got a lot of attention from truckers. A lot of people would honk as they went by. We had a guy go, keeping it fresh, keeping it fresh. You know, but it worked for me, right? So, you know, you just got to make do. But it's true that when you get ready to pack, sometimes we can't take everything, right? But you know, it's tough. Because, you know, things happen to us in life, and we like to sometimes be a victim. And you can be a victim for a while because things do happen to us. And sometimes we get so comfortable in that victim role that we don't really want to move out of it. And I'm here to tell you, you will never find your sense of humor, or you will never find the joy back in your life if you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulder. So you have to let things go. You have to leave things behind. I love the story about the two monks. There were two monks, and they were coming down a mountain, and they saw a woman waiting to cross a stream. Now, one of the monks, to the amazement of the other one, picked her up and carried her across the stream. Now, it was about half a mile further down the road, and this one monk said, you know what, I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. I have to say something. We are monks. We are not supposed to look at women. We are not supposed to talk to women. You picked her up and you carried her across the stream. And the monk just looked at him and said, yeah, and I put her down about half a mile ago. Are you still carrying her around with us? Because that's what we do. We won't let things go. All right, so we're going to play. We're going to get prepared. We're going to have a map, a direction, and then we need to participate. Every day you get up and you have an opportunity to do something. But you got to participate in life. And you know what? We've forgotten how to be in the moment. I have a friend that always says, wherever you are, be there. How many of you ever go to dinner or to lunch with someone and the cell phone goes on the table and they're with you but they're not really with you? Or better still, it's in their lap like you don't know. You know, just wherever you are, be there. Participate in the moment. There will never be another moment just like that. The other thing we can't do when we travel along in life is make assumptions. You know how easy it is to say, well, I'm not going to like that. No, I would never do that. That would be so boring. Oh, no, I can't do that. I'm telling you, you should not assume. Don't make assumptions. We had so many times on many of our trips. We were in Natchez, Mississippi, and we decided we'll take a carriage ride because it was hot and we didn't want to walk along and see all the historical trails. So we got onto this carriage ride, which we assumed would take us around. And it was very interesting. We got on it, and the first thing the guy said is, do you remember who Jefferson Davis was, the president of the Confederacy? Well, I'm getting my camera out because I'm thinking, he said, well, no. He didn't live in Natchez, Mississippi, but his brother Bill lived down the street. Then we go a little bit further, and he said, do you know who Booker T. Washington was? Oh, yeah, and I'm getting my camera. No. He wasn't from Natchez, but he has a book here in our library. Then a little bit further, he said, do you remember the actor, singer George Hamilton? I'm going, oh, yeah. And he said, well, no. He wasn't from Natchez, but his mother had rental property here. It was the most bizarre carriage ride we have ever been on. The only authentic thing in the entire ride was a three-legged cat that got buried at the courthouse named Tripod. But I would give nothing for that ride. It was the most fun ever. But you can't assume. I was speaking in St. Louis, and I had a gentleman come up to me afterwards and said, when you were talking about assuming, it reminded me of a story about my dad, and I love this story. He said, my dad was 78 years old, and my mom had passed away, and he lived alone, and my dad was blind. And so it had gotten to a point in his life that I needed to care for him more, so I was helping him with his bills, and I had asked a cleaning lady to come in because he had stacks and stacks of newspapers all over his house. So I also canceled his subscription to the newspaper. And he said, the next day when I went to my dad's house, I have never seen him so mad. And I said, Dad, why are you so mad that I canceled the subscription to the newspaper? You're blind. I assumed you couldn't read the paper. And he said, but what you didn't know was how much I look forward to my visit with the paper carrier every morning. See, we just can't assume. You can't assume about other people. You can't judge. All right, so now we're going to play. We're prepared. We're going to participate. But you got to pay some attention to some road signs, right? Don't you wish life had road signs like curve ahead or caution or turn around? But it doesn't. We have to sometimes just trust our gut. And you know, you're going to hit bad weather because bad weather happens, and rain can hurt when you're riding on a Harley. We got caught in a hailstorm, and I'll never forget, we didn't have to ride long in the hailstorm, and we took an exit. We went under an underpass, so we were hiding down there, and you know, we wear helmets, and when I took my helmet off, I also have earphones on, so I was talking very loud. And I said, oh my gosh, look, all of the hail has gone into my crotch. And I looked up, and there were like 6 biker dudes going, But it's true, you know, so you're going to hit bad weather in life and you're just going to have to punt and move on. But you're also going to see road signs and you're going to have instincts, and your gut instinct is going to tell you to turn around, to go another way. What if the road is closed? You have to be flexible, right? You have to be willing to change your direction. You have to make good choices. How many of you ever set out to do one thing and then something else happened? I will never forget when my daughter was probably in the 3rd grade. Honestly, I did not think it was time for me to have the little sex talk with her, but the neighbors had told their children. So I said, okay, I will have the little talk. I had the original book that my parents used in the 60s, and I thought, well, the parts haven't changed. I should be able to use this book. So I set Sarah Beth down, and I began to tell her about the facts of life, and she had wonderful questions. She seemed very interested to a point, and asked good questions that I was thumbing through trying to find the answers to. But then all of a sudden I said, now honey, this is a lot of information for you to take in today, so if there's any question you have or anything you ever want to ask me, please know that you can come to your mom anytime. And she looked like she was going to get sick. She held her stomach and she said, oh, Mom, I'm so nervous. And so I'm immediately thinking, oh, my gosh, something has happened. I can't imagine what she's going to tell me. And I said, oh, honey, you can tell me whatever it is, whatever it is. She said, oh, Mom, it just makes me so nervous. And I just don't know how it is. I want to know how to write a check. I said, excuse me? Tell me that in no way have you confused having sex with writing checks. Because this is something that never should you pay for or get paid for. Totally different. So we had to totally shift what I thought was going to be a little mild conversation. We went over to the table, got the checkbook out. Her dad came home very confused. Very, very confused. But you have to stay flexible. You know, we have to make choices in life. And you know, sometimes you have a chance to make a choice. You make a bad one, but you repeat it, and you repeat it, and you repeat it. So we got to start fresh. I love this story called I Walked Down the Street. It's a little poem with 5 stanzas. So you see if you ever see yourself in this. I walked down the street. There's this big hole in the sidewalk. I fell in. I was lost. I was helpless. It was not my fault. It took me forever to get out. Day 2. I walk down the same street. There's this deep hole in the sidewalk. I just pretend I don't see it. I've fallen again. I was lost. I was helpless. It was not my fault still, and it took me forever to get out. Day 3. I walk down the same street. There's this big hole in the sidewalk. Okay, I fall in. It's kind of a habit now, but you know what? I knew exactly where I was, and I can get out just like that. Day 4. I walk down the same street. There's this deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. And day 5, can you guess? I walk down a different street. Hello? I walk down a different street. But how many times does it sometimes take us to figure that out? Life's about choices. Good attitude, good choices. All right, so we've agreed today, as we celebrate breast cancer awareness and all the education, and we honor the people that have gone through this struggle before us, we're agreeing today that we're going to play the game, right? And we're going to be prepared to play the game. And you're going to participate in the moment. And you're going to pay attention to the warning signs. But let me leave you with this thought. Bugs on the windshield. When you are traveling on a Harley for a lot of miles, you get bugs on the windshield. You know, I had no idea there weren't windshield wipers on a windshield. And you know, your visibility can get down to as much as 10% unless you stop and clean the bugs off the windshield. So sometimes I think in our own lives we don't do that enough. You're sometimes looking through a lens of all the good stuff and all the bad stuff that's happened to you. And your world gets smaller and smaller. So I'm going to ask you today to make the time and the effort to clean the bugs off your windshield, to start fresh. And one of the best ways you can ever start fresh, especially when you're struggling with something, is to laugh. A really good laugh. Because when you laugh, a really good laugh, and you go, oh my gosh, I needed that. Because you did. It totally erases all the negative thoughts into your head. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope today that you'll take this advice, that you will go out there. I don't know what you're going through, and everybody in here has stuff. There's things that are happening in your lives. But be prepared, participate in the moment, pay attention to the signs, clean the bugs off your windshield, and enjoy the ride. Thank you. Thank you.